Alright, we're checking out another 2-inch Cinewhoop here from HGLRC. This is the Talon, and this one here comes with 1303 5500 kV motors. We've got the 5-bladed gem fan props. We obviously have an inverted setup here. The flight controller in here is it's got 15 amp ESCs with BlueJay firmware, 96 kilohertz PWM frequency. It does come with a built-in Express LRS receiver and an MPU 6000 gyro. The carbon plate here that the motors and the flight controller are attached to is 2 millimeters thick and has countersunk screws all around. Does make it nice and flat, and cosmetically looks pretty nice, but it does tend to weaken the carbon at these spots a little bit. In terms of the frame, the carbon frame itself, dimension-wise, it's about 84 millimeters sideways motor to motor. Front to back is about 66 millimeters, and diagonally about 106 millimeters. This is the 03 version for the DJI 03 air unit. There is an analog version as well. I'll show all of the specs here. The weight difference, I think it's like 96 grams for the analog version, which I don't have, and this one is supposed to be about 137 grams. We'll show you the weight here with the batteries here in a second. And basically we have plastic prop guards here. I'm not sure what kind of polycarbonate this is. It's fairly stiff. Does seem like it's fairly strong, but I think my experience is on this type of polycarbonate is when you have a hard crash, this tends to be a little bit more brittle and it'll shatter. Of course, crash hard enough on any kind of plastic, it will break eventually. So well, I'll show you this in a second. You can't take this part off here. There's, I think, 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and 2 screws are 6 screws. You can take off the prop guard, and then I believe there's a second plastic shell for the top part. So there's the bottom part and the top part for this plastic shell. We'll take that apart here in a second. You have a heatsink here, kind of unique for the 03 air unit, that is attached here on the bottom. And my experience with this in terms of overheating is that if you fly multiple batteries back to back to back, it will overheat. So I was flying this around sunny conditions, approximately 85 degrees outside, and after the 5th battery in a row, I started getting the overheat warning. So I was able to fly 4 batteries straight, and then after the 5th one I got an overheat warning. So we'll keep things cool, but if you're flying more than 5 batteries in a row, you will need to land this and let it cool off. Probably my suggestion is fly 2 or 3 batteries, take a break, and then go ahead and fly your 4th or 5th battery at that point. The landing feet on this one, also plastic, so you're only landing on the plastic here and not on this heatsink, so there's a little bit of a gap there on these little nubs here. But if you were landing on concrete or something like asphalt, these plastic parts will wear off eventually, so we recommend landing on some kind of a landing pad or something soft. There is a small door here to access the USB-C port and the SD card slot for the 03 air unit, and this just kind of pops off. It's a kind of thin piece of silicone rubber, and then you can see here the SD card slot and the USB-C port. The binding button's on the opposite side over here, and you can probably make it out. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see, but you can see it right there. They do include a small little pin type of thing that will let you have access to the bind ports so you can bind it up to your goggles. And then here in the front, you have a little bit of protection for the camera. If you're coming in pretty hard, this section right here is intended to protect the camera. Now, in terms of the vibration dampening, you can't probably see it here, but there's a piece of silicone here on each side. On the, I believe, on this bottom piece of plastic here, and then this top part is not connected to that. So I'm going to take this apart here and we'll show you that. There's some LEDs that are on the side here, and these little kind of white pieces are on the sides here, and when you plug it in, it's red when it's disarmed and green when it's armed, and these are programmable. Over here on the top of this section here, you can attach a GoPro mount, a little TPU included GoPro, and they'll just go right here, and they have some included screws you can attach that here for naked GoPro. They do have two different PID profiles for whether you're flying at just the O3 air unit or with the a naked GoPro. So for the more weight, you're going to probably go use the alternate profile. So the default profile, profile 1, is without the naked GoPro. If you're going to be flying with a naked GoPro, switch it to profile 2, and then it'll count for the extra weight of a naked GoPro. Alright, so here's how much it weighs. No battery. 145 on my scale. And then this is the battery I flew with. This is GNB 650 4S, and with the battery. So with the battery altogether, it's 215.4, and the weight with the 854S altogether here, we're coming in at a 241.3, so still under the 250 gram limit. All right, so go ahead and let's open this up here. Take the prop guards off. All right, so I was a little mistaken in my assumption that this bottom part was connected to the prop guards. This bottom part just houses the O3 air unit camera and the O3 air unit. And it looks like the cables, of course, are still attached for the antennas and the cable that goes to the flight controller. Give you a little inside look there on the flight controller. Again, 15 amp ESCs. It's a built-in Express LRS receiver, MPU 6000 gyro. The micro USB port is on the top here. And you can see it's by the battery strap, so not an ideal location for that, but still accessible. And you see all the cables there for the LEDs and such. And then you can see how this top part here isn't connected to the camera. Yeah, so this top part of the prop guards is connected to the frame and the motors, and then this bottom part is connected to the prop guards there, and there's that silicone right here. It's very thin. I would say about 1 millimeter, not much. Where the cameras, you can adjust the camera angle there as well. But that's the extent of the vibration dampening. It's just that thin piece of silicone. Yeah, so in terms of vibration dampening, I am a little bit concerned that you're going to probably see some vibrations at some point. Now the PID tune on this one is actually really good. I didn't see any vibrations at all, and I didn't use an ND filter, and we have some pretty sunny conditions, at least on the flights I'm showing you here. And of course when it's cloudy, the effective yellow is even less, so kind of pointless in showing you that kind of footage. But yeah, when it's sunny out, it seems like it's pretty good. There's not much vibrations getting into the camera because it's tuned really well. And even with sunny conditions, flying it fairly aggressively, I would say the jello dampening is pretty good on this one. Although honestly, after a few crashes, if you do crash a lot, you're going to see some vibrations in the camera. That's inevitable because the vibration dampening is kind of limited on this design. Now, in terms of whether or not this is intended for aggressive flying or not, I would say no. The default rates on this one were really low, so I did not attempt to do any kind of freestyle or anything like that. Obviously, you can freestyle this if you want. It has a pretty good power to weight ratio, so it's not obviously not the best for freestyle, of course, and it's not going to fly like a 5-inch, but it's okay. It's passable. You can do some tricks with it. I would obviously recommend changing the rates so that you can do that, because the default rates out of the box aren't suited for that kind of flying. It's meant for capturing cinematic footage, slow flying, hitting gaps. You can fly fast, but generally speaking, I think this is for capturing cinematic footage as a Cinewhoop. If you want a racing whoop or something like that, you probably should look elsewhere. If you're looking for something specifically for freestyle, I would recommend something else other than this model. But as a Cinewhoop, as it is out of the box, pre-tuned, it does the job, gets good footage, pretty decent flight times. I like the battery sideways like this. It does feel balanced in terms of what I prefer. And really the only thing I hate about this one is the location of the USB port, because you do have to kind of get the battery strap out of the way to get plugged in, but that's only when on the initial setup. You can easily take the battery strap out of here and do all your setup, and then you're going to be messing around with settings afterwards. Probably not. So in my opinion, it's not really a deal breaker. Overall, a pretty good Cinewhoop in terms of power and flight time. I like the design, minus the vibration dampening, but it seems like, at least on my sample, I didn't see much or very little vibration at all. So you can watch the footage and judge for yourself. I'll link those files down in the video description, as well as a link to the product if you're interested in picking it up. That'll do it for this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.